winding tale shall now begin.
Shenmue.
God, it still gets me in the feels every time, you know. Every time. Wow. I think while I compose myself a little bit, James, man, I think we were talking before the stream, weren't we? And I had a theory on how they were going to play things, and it's pretty much sort of played out as I anticipated it probably would. What are your thoughts? I mean, we can agree the first 10 minutes were insane, right? Let's not beat around the bush. We'll talk about those.
It started off. To be honest, mate, that's kind of what threw me, because it was done so well. I was expecting it to end, you know, like a nice roundup saying goodbye to the characters like they were doing before they were heading to Guilin. Even like if it just ended at the river thing, maybe meeting Shenhua, but to just skip out the entire Guilin segment, which I know isn't too long in the game. It's like 2-hour chunk at a time in the game, but maybe I'd have to speak to someone that hasn't played the games and is only just watching the anime, and maybe that worked for them. But for me, 9 minutes doing that, if I feel like if I didn't know what was going on in the games, and you know, I'd just been shown that 9 minutes of footage, I'd be like, I don't know what's going on there. It did it so fast. I don't know if anyone could take that in and come away with like, oh, okay, he's met Shenhua, you know, they've spent loads of time together. She just told him how, you know, her parents or even that flashback scene as a baby was nothing. Do you know what I mean? It was
odd.
It's like 10 seconds.
I agree with you there, because in the game it's obviously intimated that it's from a different time, isn't it? Essentially, but there it was almost like implied that it was her growing up in Bailey Village, under that tree, under the same tree. That's created a bit of doubt in my mind there.
To be fair, like Vivi says, I'm not surprised they skipped a lot of stuff, because they don't need to show that stuff, but they could have paced it. Like, they could have fleshed a whole episode out of that, I think, where they could have had the meeting.
I think
they could have had a little bit of conversation. They could have gone to like the firefly thing, the little pond there. It's just the interaction I wanted to see, and and the cave stuff, and you know, even if you know it is only like an hour and a half to 2 hours in the game, but it feels like you are on a journey in the game.
The thing is,
whereas that in 9 minutes, it felt like
it's 2 days, isn't it, in game roughly, isn't it? When you meet her, to then obviously to the ending, 2-3 days in game. It needed, if we had a perfect world, it needed one more episode to flesh that out, to really get that in there. And I think it can be considered bittersweet. I think it will divide people down the middle. I can see in chat other people are going, I get it. James, I can see, I'm not surprised. We were talking about this pre-stream and we were talking about this last week, that if they cut a load of the Guilin stuff out, I think it wouldn't, you did say it probably wouldn't sit very well. So I'm not surprised at all. I think...
What got me the most there, and I mean, probably, obviously, that I got a bit disappointed then, but how they did so well in that first 15 minutes or whatever.
Man.
And because of how that was going, I wasn't even expecting them to go all the way to the end of the game, because in my head it felt like they'd planned it better than that they planned to have these goodbye scenes. They planned to maybe just send Rio on the journey, and then that's the swan song sort of, and then to suddenly start seeing like 5 important scenes in 2 seconds, it threw me.
Yeah,
I wasn't
and I
was expecting it at the start of the episode, but I wasn't, you know what I mean, like 10 minutes from the end of the episode, I wasn't expecting that. And that kind of, it just...
I think Hannah's sort of hit the nail on the head here, that for people who haven't played the games, you see more Shenhua than you do in the game, so you don't know, obviously, that disc 4 element for Shenmue 2, I don't know if they necessarily... That's probably why they did it, because then you don't need it, you get to know her.
But like Frankie says, have they shown the impact of the meeting though?
No, but then
Because it's all right here saying having this prophecy like some dude from the east is eventually gonna, you know what I mean? It's like this fairy tale, and then suddenly the fairy tale's coming true. I felt like there was no impact there just because it just happened all of a sudden.
and I think this is where, I mean, Sheep said it, and I said it as we were watching it. I think we will get a lot of that building of the relationship between the two of them in a season 2, because Shenmue 3, we have the main story arc, but the rest of it's a blank canvas, isn't it? And I think that's where they'll fill that up. And I suspect this was a very, very, yeah, Frankie, I think you're right. They are gambling on a season 2, I think. And judging from what obviously Jason DeMarco
Unless
said,
they secretly know there's going to be one, and Jason's just saying that as like if you say that you want a season 2,
you'll get a season 2.
We'll make it, but they're already bloody working on it, you know?
Yeah, I get it, right? I get it. I think I from a game point of view, they've missed a lot of stuff there. The relationship built between Ryo and Shenhua. I don't know if the walk translates well to anime. I think you either have to do a whole episode on it, or you do what they did there and just cut through it. And then I think I
think they even cut through the cut through though. Like it could have been, it could have felt rushed another extra 10 minutes, but at least with that extra 10 minutes, you don't have to keep cutting scenes so much. They could have, maybe if they'd have fleshed certain stuff out in that little thing, but they didn't flesh any of it out. It was weird.
I'd love to see what the original plan was around it. Like, because they originally were going to do a lot of Shenmue 1, then got hooked on Shenmue 2 and sort of went off that way, didn't they?
And then wanted to delve into Kowloon.
Yeah, so...
And then at some point they've gone and done the whole thing, haven't they? Which...
Put it this way, like, for 13 episodes, and they've obviously had to get through a hell of a lot of material here. Let's not beat around the bush about it. And I do think... I get it. I get that last 10 minutes, and it felt rushed. They went bang, bang, bang. Didn't establish the relationship, etc., etc. Oh, thanks, Joe. I'll have a look at that in a minute. And yeah, I can understand where that disappointment comes from, but I had a feeling they'd do it that way. I had a feeling that they were going to just smash through it, and then I think if they're going to pick it up, they'll pick it up in season 2. But yeah, I think the bar was set so bloody high in that first 10-12 minutes. I mean, bloody hell. Let's talk about that first 10-12 minutes. We're focusing on Guilin, you're rightly so, but let's not forget how good that 12-minute section was. My God, probably the best 12 minutes of the whole fucking anime.
To me, that is where it probably should have ended, because that was like top tier. That was, you know what I mean? That fighting, the Dou Niu stuff was perfection.
Yeah.
You know how they rushed the Bayou fight last week, and they had a similar sort of like, boom, 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 boom. You know, he's learnt the full wood or whatever, and then he's just one hit Bayou. Similar sort of thing happened here with the Dou Niu stuff, but it actually worked, and it was like, it felt like they were fleshing that out. That's what we wanted to see. We wanted a proper, we weren't even expecting the Landee fight, at the start of the season. That's something they've introduced, and that worked really well. What do you think about them, like utilising some of the Shenmue 3 of that Landee fight thing? Do you think they're going to redo that when they get to it in?
I've been quite vocal in what I think
Shenmue 3 adaptation
about that, haven't I? I've been quite sort of...
Or do you think that's something they thought, if we don't get season 2, we've had that moment?
Maybe, because I suppose for TV, they've got to do something to conclude that story arc of Ryo getting near him. I think the biggest thing with it is that how do they not diminish the impact of the castle? Because I know Shenmue 3 gets ratted on for the story, etc. But that castle stuff and the ending of Shenmue 3 and what happens in that is massive. It's absolutely huge, right? So to lose, I don't know how they're going to keep the stakes of that Landee meeting again that high. That's what they've got the challenge for now in a second season. If they do that well, then the rooftop stuff's fine. If they don't, then I'm going to be a bit like, meh. But I always said I didn't want them to fight on the rooftop, but I get why. I see why they did it for TV. Otherwise, you don't get sort of that closure around it. You're on mute, James, I think, by the way.
Did I not on mute?
Yeah, you're good now. You're good now.
Yeah, sorry, I was just listening to you.
So
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird coming off of it, right? Because the ending got me, the cave and everything. That will forever get me. And I could be 85 and it still would. I think. Yeah. For what we had.
Well, it was still that last bit. Fair enough, it worked. From like entering the cave onwards, that bit where she was talking, her father was talking in the background. Again, they had that sort of like note thing, where it sounded like he's dead. Take the sword and go with the one that holds the phoenix. That sort of moment. And that ending stuff, it worked. It just surprised me.
It was just
as all, and I shouldn't have been surprised because it was kind of, we knew that was going to happen, but it surprised me because of what they did so well at the start of that episode.
Yeah, I get it.
Oh yeah, and there was a bit after that where he ran into Bailey Village and he saw his father. That was a pretty cool moment, to be fair, if you think of it like that. He's seen, or what he thought was his father standing under that tree. Because is that like a memory, a thought, or is that like a premonition? Because his father may have stood there 20 years ago or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Is there any context to that?
I do find
or is he just thinking that's his Hazuki Dojo tree?
I do think it's interesting they let them out the cave at the end there, because that's basically the scene from Shenmue 3 where they're like, that's Bailu Village. It's literally that, isn't it? It's almost like they're going, we're ready for a season 2.
Yeah.
It's almost like a season 2 would pick up literally at that point. But overall, right?
Overall, I think I'd give the whole series a 9 out of 10 for me.
I
think
agree. 9 out of 10.
They'd get the extra point if they just fleshed out a couple of things. I was happy with them. Some of the stuff they rushed. To be fair, there's not a lot really that they did that really got to me, apart from that very end bit then, and the 5 stars corpse thing that we rattle on about week by week. But there's a couple of things in there, but the rest of it was better than I was imagining it would be. It is just a shame we didn't get maybe like a 14th episode. I think one more episode probably would have given them the couple of extra minutes I would have liked to have seen in certain places, especially the Guilin bit there.
I can take the Guilin bit. I can take it on the chin, but I can see that Frankie's saying 5-star corp and buy. Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Those are the 3 things. Other than that, mate, the whole thing was perfect. It was just those 3 things, which, and that's coming from like proper diehard Shenmue fans who, we don't particularly want anyone messing with our past or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like if they'd rewritten the whole show and it was like it was nothing that we like, the whole story was different. Do you know what I mean? We'd probably be a bit more pissed off. But because of how respectful they were to the source material, and even the stuff that they did add in was only to kind of like develop stuff that maybe fans had thought about. Like see that was absolute gold. That was seeing Shenhua's father in the morning heading to the stone pit.
How good was that?
Little bits and pieces like that as what, and seeing some Shenmue 3 characters earlier on as well, like the fat bloke, the guy that's got the hots for her, Alda, stuff like that was insane.
Man, all of that stuff was perfect. And do you know what? This is going to sound really like I'm being a bit underhanded here, but actually, it showed Shenmue 3 some damn respect. Yeah, we did get Dallin. That was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant how they put that together. That was a proper Easter egg. If you're ever going to get one, that was a proper Easter egg. But yeah, man, like 9 out of 10. I thought it kicked off on the right foot with obviously the first few episodes. It may have rushed a little bit through Shenmue 1. I thought the opening episode for the Shenmue 2 segment was perfect. The Wood was brilliant.
Yeah.
Kowloon was generally well done, if not a bit quick in some parts, like the Bayou and the 5-star corpse, which I know that still irks me now. The rooftop was perfect.
Rooftop was perfect.
Scene for scene for scene, perfection. Honestly, I applauded it live. Absolutely superb. And Guilin, I get it. I understand it. I see where people are coming from on both sides of that argument. But for me, I won't be too annoyed about it unless they fuck it up in season 2, should we get one, and we will get one.
I'm the same as Vivi, by the way. Episode 6 was probably my favourite, and I'm a Shenmue 1.
Yeah, episode 6 was
fan,
amazing.
to be fair.
As long as in season 2 they build that relationship with Ryo and Shenhua, they do all that sort of stuff there and then, because they've got the canvas to do it, they've got the space to do it with the mainline story of Shenmue 3, then I think I can forgive the Guilin section. If they don't, then I'm going to be less forgiving of it, if you want. I mean, how can you watch the English dub? Get a VPN and sign up. I think you can get it through Adult Swim, but it's a few weeks behind, I believe.
We might. Do you reckon they might sort it out soon? You know, like Japan have got their own airing of stuff. Do you reckon some English thing will pick it up or something?
Maybe.
Possibly.
Maybe. It's getting a rerun on Toonami from 14th of May, which is random.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks off, and it gets a rerun again. It's at 3 in the morning.
You know what I mean? Like
USA
Netflix,
time.
something like Netflix would be cool, wouldn't it? If they just banged it on. Now it's they've got the. I suppose this is the sort of stuff that may happen moving forth, because obviously, if they've been waiting for like a live airing of stuff, and now you've got a complete season, maybe someone like Netflix might prefer to take a full adaptation or something. Do you know what I mean?
Possibly. I mean, they're obviously keen, and I think this is the biggest thing now. They're keen to do a season 2, so we need to be getting on at Crunchyroll as much as we can, and with the anime hashtag Shenmue Anime 2, 4th of every month. You know, tag Crunchyroll and everything. If you want the merchandise, you want the Blu-ray, then you tag Sega into everything, because we need to be doing all of that if we want it.
Oh, apparently Netflix just cut their animation department.
I didn't know that.
No, I didn't.
Now,
what? Oh, you carry on, Matt. Sorry.
Before we sort of move the conversation forward, Joe has sent me a couple of images, and cheers, Renders Man, by the way. I think a season 2 can happen. Sega
Yeah, they want to do a season 2 by the sounds of it.
I think it's whether they can do it and not. I think it depends on where Shenmue 4 ends up, whether we get one or not. And if it looks like we're realistically getting one. If we're not realistically going to get a Shenmue 4, I reckon they'll pull the trigger. If they think Shenmue 4 is going to happen, it might delay the second season. Anyway, so...
Do you think they'd make the second season without, the game?
I think if the games
come up with their own sort of stories,
I think so, because the basic scripts are there, and they can fill it in, can't they? I'd rather it was a game, obviously, but if the games, for whatever reason, behind the scenes are not going to happen, then I think they might pull the trigger on a season 2 more quickly. And also, it's made money from what we get. It's done well everywhere, and the merch will sell
and
out.
in every week.
Yeah. It's done. It's trended every week. It's done really, really well. I think we're in a good position, but we can't. As I said at the top of the show, we can't.
Mike Franz, he's got it there. He needs to play Disc 4 now.
Right.
To be fair, what I was going to say was, possibly now, if you watched it all as one piece, now you know what you're getting into. Now you know how they finish the series.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You've not got that wonder or expectation or whatever. Now you know what the product is. I wonder if it'll just work a bit better the second viewing. Do you know what I mean? Because you can take it in a bit easier. Like then, I was disappointed as it was. I wasn't taking it in, so maybe it was. It worked better than I originally thought, that Guilin stuff. But I'll have to see on a second viewing. It might actually, help. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a daily gaming videos. The Rio's main arc is written. That's all done. I know that for a fact. It's all the side stuff they haven't filled in. So when
he said that a few times on Team.
Yeah, and Ryan Payton said it to me when I interviewed him. God, it must be over a year ago now. But what they do is they have the main arc, and then as things go on, they develop things inside it, and those characters and everything. So I think that's where the anime could, in theory, with Shenmue 3 and potentially 4, if it's not been made at this point, they can go off on that blank canvas and do what they want. But it's exciting times for Shenmue fans. It really, really is. I'm going to show a very quick image that Joe sent me. So
Go on to this.
I'm going to have to deal with something in chat in a minute. So this is Rio leaving. And then I'll quickly show the image on.
Oh, that's cool. See that? They nailed some of that stuff, didn't they?
And then if this doesn't zoom
That
in.
goodbyes and
then Joe has rigged this up
whatnot.
using Blender and the assets from the game.
Sheep not going to watch the trailer for the next episode.
I'm going to pull that down for everybody. That's quality though, isn't it? It's so well put together. I will put that in a template later.
Dude, I love it, man. I really love it.
Let me quickly jump on
You can see them going out for a cup of tea, can't you? Jamming and
you
quicksand.
sent me from last week as well. I'll show you this one off in a second, and then we'll round things off.
Good job there, Joe, by the way.
Man,
This is the sort of stuff I would love to like properly play if someone could mod these scenes and into the game.
So I'm just download these images that Joe has sent me again. Bayou. And then the next one. Oh, wrong way. Sorry. My wife just texted me. There we go.
You seen that comment from Mahandi Tahu?
It's been 13 weeks.
This has
of
been
my
the
life,
best.
well, we're flattered that you enjoyed hanging around with us every week. Right, so let's have a quick gander of this very quickly. Let me close that down. Let me just shove that off my desktop. Let me get this opened again before we round.
It shows actually how much can happen in like what 3 months.
It's gone so fast. 13 weeks. It's been absolutely ridiculous.
Well, if you think about it, mate, what was it like 2 years ago? Perhaps we didn't even know this was going to be a thing.
No. And then all of a sudden, we took the dojo over in the July. Anime gets freaking announced in the September. And it's all hell been breaking loose ever
crazy
since.
ever since.
So this is from last week, Master Bayou.
Okay.
And then I'm going to quickly pull up the other one.
Looking forward to seeing where he's like filmed. Well, set this one.
And then this.
Did he set it in Bayou's cave?
And there we are.
Basement.
Again, set up in Blender with all the game
Nice.
assets.
Oh, okay.
So well put together. Love this shit. I will put those in a template later. And
God, I forgot how tall Bayou was. He's massive, isn't he?
He's huge. Absolutely huge. But man, it's been a long 13 weeks, hasn't it? I mean, it was the 5th of February we started this.
5th of February.
5th of February.
I can't believe how quick this year's going, dude. It's like half a year's gone nearly already.
It's gone rapidly. And one thing I have been seeing a lot of sort of over the last few days is people have been watching the anime and are wanting to play the games. So the anime,
that's good news.
The anime is doing its bloody job. I enjoyed it. I love the anime. I think it's been well put together. There are some little nitpicks here and there. I'll forgive Guilin if they nail the Shenhua Ria relationship in a season 2 when we get it.
Yeah.
But man,
it could work. I mean, you don't know what the context is going to be like. If you get your season 2 and they flesh them out a little bit more while they're hunting the father down, that could be like the plan.
I think they've got a plan.
And
I think they know.
Perhaps you could get your dandelion scenes within all that sort of stuff. Did they miss anything in the cave? I'm thinking he put the mirror in the thing, right? Because it went by so fast. I can't take it in. So he picked the sword up. They picked the sword up.
But they didn't put the sword.
So that was the same.
They didn't put the sword.
So they didn't have the floating sword stuff.
Because then the thing.
Right. So that we know that's kind of like retconned from Shenmue 3 anyway. The floaty sword thing. So looks like they've stuck with that. Okay. And was the sword? It was small, wasn't it? It was like dagger sized.
Yeah. It was more dagger sized again, which I think. I think we all probably
It's
anticipate
a shame
stuff
they've
being released.
like I know there was that interview or whatever where they said they went balls out and that wasn't his original plan. It was originally meant to be a dagger.
Yeah, and they just went a bit
And
mental,
they
didn't
went a bit mental, but I think once you've gone mental, you've kind of got to keep the continuity, in my opinion. But I was just thinking, it just something made me think of like oh yeah, because of how fast this year's gone. Like when I was working on Shenmue World, I was thinking like, oh, I'll have this done in like 6 months, and it seems to have taken me fucking ages, and I'm still kind of like finalising a few things. I need to put out an update, to be fair. Just to tell people where we're at. I mean, I did do one a couple of weeks ago, but that was like taking surveys. I've got these 14 people that still haven't filled the survey in, and I'll say it now. I'm not like naming names or anything, but I'm waiting from you, Joe Kitchen, if you can find your survey and fill that in for me. And there's a few others in here. I don't think anyone else is in the chat that I'm looking at on this list, so I just thought I'd mention that while I can actually speak to you, Joe. But yeah, I think it's just been mental. This particular week has been mental for me in general because I've had to do like a ton of uni work that's been handed in on the Thursday. So I've literally got tomorrow to edit the podcast that we're going to record in a minute, Matt.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the week, I'm going to focus on whatever I need to do for the magazine. And hopefully by the end of next week, everything will be sent off to the printers. And then it's all go then.
But we are streaming on Wednesday from 8:30 for Let's Get Shenmue 4 Day.
And that as well.
Yeah, we are not away for long. We're not away for long. I think it's a nice natural point for us to bring what has been a 13-week wild ass ride to a close. Man, it's been. I'd be lying if I said it hasn't been difficult at times. It's been hard work. All the stuff that we do, been doing behind the scenes, but we couldn't have done this without the staff at the dojo who have been brilliant in putting out comparison shots, who have been backing us up as we've been putting content out as we've been going. So guys in the staff, thank you. I mean, Hannah Spaghetti for writing the notes recently, Titch for being on the show for the first 5 episodes and doing the show notes for us. Joe Kitchen, man, those images are amazing. Thank you for putting those together as well, because it's given us something to look at and talk about. I'm probably missing people everywhere, left, right, and centre, but it's been a thoroughly good ride. But James and I are, after Wednesday, going to take ourselves a nice, well-earned break, I think.
Until Shenmue 4 gets announced on Friday. So, yeah, Joe, I don't know, mate, because I'm looking at it saying survey not answered, Joseph Kitchen. So unless there's another dude in America called Joseph Kitchen, then I don't know. I apologise if you've already done it, and this is like someone else that's got your name.
We are Scribe. We are streaming on the 4th, 8:30 UK time, so don't you worry about that. My final 2 thank yous are obviously James for joining me every week and putting up with me behind the scenes, sorting all this stuff out as we've been working away to get all this live for everybody. And then finally, it's thank you to everybody who's dropped in, week out over this last 13 weeks to watch us react to this, to talk to us about it, to discuss this, listen to the podcast, engage in all the content. It's been an absolute blast. You guys make it worth it at the end of the day.
Definitely.
Our hard work without you means nothing. So
I can't believe I'm seeing the same names every week.
Yeah,
so
am I.
For the fact that you've stuck around for 13 weeks, I mean, I applaud you guys. That's fucking amazing.
On that bombshell, again, thank you to everybody. We're going to go and record the podcast for the final episode. There will be a roundtable one done at some point as well. We're not going to put a timeline on that because James and I want to have a bit of a rest. And with this 110 industry shit flying around, for all we bloody know, we could be back very quickly discussing a potential Shenmue announcement for all we know. Just keep your ears to the ground on that one.